Minimalist money rules you must follow to achieve financial freedom. 2 apartments in the same building, same rent, same city. One person makes $95,000 a year, stressed about money, living paycheck to paycheck, one emergency away from financial collapse. Their neighbor makes $52,000, has 18 months of expenses saved, and invests 20% of their income. How is this possible? How does the person making half as much have twice the financial security? Here's the answer nobody wants to hear. Income doesn't determine financial stability. What you own does. Because every single thing you own costs you twice. Once when you buy it, that's the price tag everyone sees. And again, every single day you keep it. Storage space, maintenance, insurance, mental energy, opportunity cost. The second payment is usually more expensive than the first, and it's completely invisible. Most people calculate only the first cost and wonder why making more money never makes them feel more secure. Because the stuff they bought with that extra income is quietly draining it right back out. Today, I'm breaking down the hidden cost of ownership, keeping high earners broke, and I'm giving you 7 minimalist money principles that low earners use to build more wealth than people making double. This isn't about deprivation. It's about understanding what things actually cost you. If you've ever made more money but somehow felt less financially secure, type trapped in the comments. Hit subscribe because the 7th principle changes everything. Let's start by understanding what the second cost actually is. Think about the purchase price as just the entry fee. It's what you pay to start owning something. But ownership itself creates ongoing costs that never stop running in the background. Storage space. Every item you own takes up square footage, and square footage costs money, whether you're renting or buying. The average American home right now is about 2,000 square feet at roughly $1.50 per square foot monthly. That's $3,000 a month. If 30% of your home stores things you rarely use, you're paying $900 a month just to house your regret. That's almost $11,000 a year, paying rent for stuff you don't even want. Then there's maintenance. Everything breaks eventually, wears out, needs service. Your car needs oil changes and tire rotations. Your house needs repairs and updates. Your lawn equipment needs parts. Your electronics need upgrades or replacements. These costs aren't one time. They're recurring subscriptions you signed up for without realizing it when you bought the thing. Insurance, protection. The more you own, the more you need to protect. Higher home insurance because of all the valuables inside. Storage unit fees because the house isn't big enough. Security systems because you're worried about theft. Then the invisible cost nobody calculates. Mental energy. Time spent organizing, cleaning, managing, worrying about all these possessions. Hours every week that could be building income or relationships or skills, instead spent serving the things you thought were serving you. And finally, opportunity cost. Money tied up in stuff you're not using is money that could be growing through investments. That jet ski sitting in your garage depreciating, if you'd invested that money instead, it would be appreciating. Compounding. Working for you instead of sitting there judging you every time you walk past it. There's an old story about a merchant who found buried treasure. Thought he was wealthy now. Finally made it. But immediately he had to pay for secure storage so nobody would steal it. Had to hire guards to watch it. Had to get insurance against theft or loss. Started losing sleep worrying about it. Couldn't travel freely because he needed to stay near his treasure to protect it. Years went by like this. The treasure owned him more than he owned it. One day, exhausted and stressed, he sold the entire thing. And the moment he did, he felt wealthier despite having less money. Because the burden disappeared. The second cost stopped consuming him. That's what most possessions are. They seem like assets when you buy them. They reveal themselves as liabilities that extract ongoing payment from your life, your time, your peace, and your actual wealth. The purchase price is just what you pay once. The ownership cost is what you pay forever until you finally let it go. And most people's financial stress isn't from not making enough money. It's from the second cost of all the things they bought with the money they made, quietly draining it right back out every single month. But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference. Calculate cost per use, not purchase price. This is the first principle, and it changes how you see every purchase decision you'll ever make. We compare price tags. We think we're being smart by finding the cheaper option. But price is almost meaningless without context. What actually matters is cost per use over the item's lifetime. $300 jacket worn 5 times is $60 per wear. $80 jacket worn 100 times is 80 cents per wear. Which one is actually cheaper? The expensive one that you wore constantly and loved was 75 times less expensive per use than the cheap one that sat in your closet, making you feel guilty. Benjamin Franklin understood this in the 1700s. He watched wealthy colonists versus struggling ones with the same basic income. The difference wasn't how much they made, it was how they calculated value. The poor bought cheaply and frequently because that's all they could afford up front. Cheap boots every year, cheap tools that broke, cheap furniture that fell apart. Over a lifetime, they spent 10 times more than the wealthy because they could never afford quality in the first place. The wealthy bought quality once and used it for decades. Expensive boots that lasted 20 years. Quality tools that worked perfectly for a career. Solid furniture that got passed down to children. The upfront cost was higher, but the cost per use over time was dramatically lower. Franklin wrote, "The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten." That sentence is the whole principle. Before you buy anything now, estimate how many times you'll actually use it over its realistic lifetime, not how many times you hope to use it or plan to use it. How many times will you actually use it based on your real life and real patterns? Divide the total cost, including maintenance over those years, by the number of uses. That's your cost per use. That's the real price. This formula kills impulse purchases instantly. That bread maker for $200? If you're honest, you'll use it maybe 10 times before it goes in the back of the cupboard. That's $20 per loaf of bread. You can buy really good bread for $4. The bread maker doesn't make sense once you do the math. But it also justifies purchases that seem expensive until you calculate correctly. $2,000 mattress that you'll sleep on 8 hours a night for 10 years? That's 36,500 nights of sleep. 55 cents per night for something that determines your health, your mood, your productivity every single day. Suddenly, the $2,000 looks like a bargain compared to the $800 mattress you'll hate and replace in 3 years. Real application for this week. Look at one purchase you're considering right now. Estimate realistic lifetime uses. Calculate cost per use. Most of the time, this calculation will tell you not to buy it. Occasionally, it'll tell you to buy the more expensive version because the cost per use is actually lower. I know someone who bought an $800 standing desk. Her coworkers thought she was crazy. That's way too much for a desk. But she uses it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Over 6 years, that's over 12,000 hours of use. Cost per hour? About 7 cents for something that improved her health, her focus, and her back pain. Her coworker bought a $200 cheaper desk. Seemed smarter financially. But she hated it, replaced it 3 times in 6 years, and spent $600 total on desks she disliked while dealing with discomfort the entire time. The insight that changed everything for the first woman. I paid more once and forgot about it. She paid less repeatedly and regretted it constantly. Price is what you pay once. Value is what you receive forever. The financially stable calculate the second number, not just the first. Wait, there's something you need to pay attention to if you don't want to lose everything. Would you buy it again today? That's the second principle, and it cuts through years of accumulated clutter in one simple question. Walk through your home right now, mentally. Look at everything you own. For each item, ask yourself honestly, if this disappeared today, would I spend money to replace it? If the answer is no, that item is dead weight. It's costing you through the space it occupies, the mental energy of managing it, and the maintenance it requires. But it's providing zero value because you wouldn't even choose to own it if you had the choice again today. Most people keep things because of guilt. I paid good money for that. The money is gone, already spent. Keeping the item doesn't recover that cost. It just extends the loss by continuing to pay the ongoing ownership cost for something you don't even want. There's a Buddhist teaching about non-attachment that explains this perfectly. A traveling monk owned very little, a bowl, a robe, and some scriptures. A student asked him, "Master, what would you do if you lost everything in a fire?" The monk answered, "I would mourn only what I'd choose to replace." That sentence stopped the student cold. He realized he owned dozens of things he'd never rebuy, things kept out of guilt, habit, or some vague sense of obligation to past decisions. None of them is serving his current life. All of them cost him through space, maintenance, and mental burden. The teaching was simple. Keep only what serves your current life, not what commemorates your past spending. Apply this test this weekend. Choose one room or one closet. Go through every item with that single question. Would I buy this again today? Anything that's a clear no goes into 3 piles. Sell if it has value. Donate if someone else might want it. Dispose of if neither applies. Most people who do this honestly discover that 40 to 60% of their possessions fail the replacement test. Things they're keeping purely from guilt or inertia, not because they add any value to their actual life. Calculate what that means financially. If 30% of your home at $3,000 a month rent is storing things you wouldn't rebuy, you're paying $900 monthly to house regret. That's $10,800 a year. That could go to investments, an emergency fund, or actual experiences you'd value. I know someone who inherited his father's tool collection. Hundreds of tools. Took up the entire garage. Every time he looked at them, he felt guilty even considering selling them. His dad spent decades collecting those tools. Getting rid of them felt like disrespecting his father's memory. But he finally applied the replacement test honestly. Would he buy these specific tools today if he needed them? Maybe 20 of them. The rest were duplicates, outdated, or for hobbies he didn't have and would never take up. He sold 90% of the collection. Kept the tools he'd actually use. Used the money to start an investment account in his father's memory. The revelation changed how he saw everything. Keeping them wasn't honoring him. It was letting guilt consume space my actual life needed. That's the trap of sunk cost. The money is already gone. The only question is whether the thing still serves you. If it doesn't, keeping it is choosing to extend the loss indefinitely instead of cutting it and moving forward. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people. Never upgrade from boredom. This is the third principle, and it's probably destroying more wealth than any other single pattern I see. Your TV works perfectly. The picture is fine, the sound is fine, it does exactly what a TV should do, but you're bored with it, so you upgrade. Your phone functions completely, makes calls, sends messages, runs every app you actually use. But a new model exists, so you upgrade. Your car runs great, passes inspection, and gets you everywhere reliably. But you've had it for 5 years and you're just tired of looking at it. So you upgrade. This isn't optimization. This is destroying functioning assets because marketing convinced you that boredom is a problem that spending money solves. It's not. Boredom is a feeling, and feelings are terrible reasons to make financial decisions that have real consequences. The Roman philosopher Seneca watched this pattern 2,000 years ago. Wealthy Romans constantly upgraded possessions not because anything was broken, but because novelty wore off. New robes, new furniture, new homes, always something newer, something different. He observed that these people never felt satisfied. Always spending, always upgrading, always needing the next thing. And many of them died wealthy in assets but broke in security and peace because the constant upgrade cycle consumed everything they made, plus more. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Boredom with functioning items isn't revealing inadequacy in your possessions. It's a revealing poverty of imagination. The inability to find satisfaction in what works, what serves its purpose, what's sufficient. And every tech company, every car manufacturer, every furniture store understands this weakness and engineers their entire business model around triggering it. New model year. New features you don't need. New design aesthetic. All designed to make you feel like what you have is inadequate when it's actually fine. Here's the rule. Upgrade only when your current item fails or becomes genuinely inadequate for its purpose. Not when you're bored with it. Not when something newer exists. When it actually stops working or can't do what you need it to do. Boredom is never on that list. "It works fine, but I'm tired of it," is not a reason. It's an expensive feeling you're about to validate with money you could be investing instead. Real calculation. TV upgraded every 3 years at $1,500. That's $500 a year spent on having a newer TV. Is TV used until actual failure at 8 to 10 years? $150 to $187 a year. The difference is $350 annually just to avoid boredom. Over 30 years, that boredom costs you $10,500 in raw spending. Invested at 8%? That same money becomes $42,000 you gave up for the privilege of having a newer TV every 3 years instead of every 8. I know a couple with a perfectly functional 2015 car, 95,000 miles, runs great, no issues, passes every inspection. Their friends kept upgrading to newer models. Subtle pressure at every gathering about their old car. They felt embarrassed pulling up in something that looked dated compared to everyone else's vehicles. They did the math instead of following the feeling. A new car would cost $40,000 financed, $700 a month for 6 years. Their current car cost them $0 in payments, about $150 a month in insurance and maintenance. They kept the car, invested the $550 monthly difference that would have gone to a new car payment. 6 years later, the car is still running fine at 170,000 miles. And they have $52,000 invested from money they didn't spend upgrading from boredom. Their friends have new cars, still making payments. And their cars are now worth about half what they paid. The depreciation plus interest cost them more than the couple's car was even worth originally. The transformation in how they described it. We stopped upgrading from boredom and started building from patience. Boredom is expensive entertainment disguised as necessity. The financially stable recognize the disguise and refuse to play. It sounds simple, but the hardest part is what's about to be told next. Make spending hard and saving automatic. This is the fourth principle, and it's about understanding something uncomfortable about yourself. You are not strong enough to resist frictionless spending. Nobody is. Willpower is a finite resource that depletes throughout the day. And modern commerce is engineered specifically to eliminate every barrier between impulse and purchase. One-click ordering, Face ID payments, saved credit cards in every app, buy now, pay later options, free shipping, same-day delivery. Every friction point has been systematically removed to make spending as effortless as breathing. Meanwhile, saving requires active decision-making, manual transfers, deliberate choices, willpower at the end of the day when you're tired and your defenses are down. The asymmetry guarantees spending wins because humans default to whatever's easiest. You can't win this fight with willpower alone. You have to reverse engineer the friction. Make spending harder, make saving automatic, and let the system do the work your tired brain can't consistently do. There's this story from Greek mythology about Odysseus and the sirens. He knew he'd be tempted by their song. It was irresistible. No amount of willpower could overcome it. So he didn't rely on willpower. He had his crew tie him to the mast of the ship, filled their ears with wax, commanded them to ignore whatever he said while under the siren's spell. He didn't trust his future self's judgment under temptation, so he created physical constraints while he was still thinking clearly. That's not a weakness. That's wisdom about human nature under pressure. Modern application: don't trust yourself around frictionless spending. Create barriers now while you're rational, so your impulsive self later can't sabotage your goals. Delete saved payment methods from every app. Amazon, food delivery, retail sites, everything. Having to manually enter your card number adds 30 seconds of friction. That's enough pause for your brain to ask, do I actually need this, or am I just feeling something I'm trying to fix with spending? Delete shopping apps entirely from your phone. If you need something, you can use a web browser, which is slightly less convenient. That small inconvenience filters out probably 60% of impulse purchases. Implement a 24-hour waiting period for anything non-essential. Add it to a list, wait a full day, and see if you still want it. Most of the time, the emotional trigger that created the want passes, and you realize you don't actually need it. Flip the script for saving. Automate transfers on payday, before you see the money, before you can decide to spend it. Treat your investment contribution like a non-negotiable bill. The first thing that happens when money comes in. Most people try to save from whatever's left at the end of the month. There's never anything left. That's not a math problem. That's a system design problem. Spending expands to fill available money. So reduce available money first, automatically, before your spending brain knows it's there. I know someone who realized he was spending $400 a month on seamless impulse purchases. Subscriptions he'd forgotten about, one-click orders that seemed small individually, and food delivery. Because it was easy. None of it planned, all of it frictionless. He deleted every shopping app, removed all saved payment methods from browsers. The first month was annoying. He almost re-added his card multiple times just to avoid the friction. Second month, something shifted. He started noticing he didn't actually want most things once friction existed. The 30 seconds to find his card and type it in was enough pause to realize the impulse was just that, an impulse, not a genuine need. 6 months later, impulse spending dropped from $400 a month to about $80. $320 a month is freed up just by adding friction. That's $3,800 a year, redirected to investments automatically. The insight that changed everything. I wasn't strong enough to resist easy spending, so I made spending hard and saving easy instead. Willpower is finite. Systems are forever. Design your system to protect the future you from the present you's weakness. That's not a character flaw. That's strategic self-awareness. Don't jump to conclusions, because what comes next can change your perspective completely. Count your possessions regularly. This is the 5th principle, and it sounds almost too simple to matter. But counting creates something that changes behavior instantly. Awareness. Most people have no idea how many things they actually own. There's a vague sense of a lot of stuff, but no concrete number. And that vagueness is exactly what allows unconscious accumulation to continue unchecked. When you count, you're forced to confront the actual number, and the number usually shocks people. Not because it's wrong, but because it makes visible what was previously abstract. Buddhist monks practice this deliberately. They're limited to a specific number of possessions. Not arbitrary rules. It's about maintaining awareness. Each monk must be able to name and justify every single item they own. The practice isn't about restriction. It's about preventing the unconscious drift that happens when you stop paying attention. There's a story about a modern monk who decided to count everything he owned. Even living minimally, he discovered he'd accumulated items he didn't remember acquiring. Things that just appeared over time through gifts, impulse purchases, and things he meant to use but never did. The count revealed the gap between his intention to live simply and the reality of gradual accumulation. The awareness itself became the intervention. Once he knew the number, keeping it from growing required no willpower. He just naturally questioned every new item because he didn't want to increase the count. That's what measurement does. What you measure awakens. What stays vague stays unconscious. Try this experiment. Pick one category. Count everything you own in that category. All your books, all your shoes, all your kitchen gadgets, all your clothes. Actually count them and write down the number. Most people who count their clothes discover they own between 150 and 300 items. That number hits differently than a closet full of clothes. It's concrete, specific, impossible to ignore. Then ask yourself, if I could only keep 50 pieces, which ones would I keep? That question reveals what actually matters versus what's just taking up space and mental energy. Implement a one-in, one-out rule after you've counted. A new shirt means an old shirt has to leave. This isn't a restriction, it's maintaining awareness. Every new item requires a conscious choice about what goes to make room for it. The ceiling limit prevents lifestyle creep from happening invisibly. You can't just keep adding indefinitely. Every addition requires subtraction. That friction makes you consider whether you actually want the new thing enough to lose something you already have. Do this quarterly. Count one category every 3 months. The regular practice maintains awareness and prevents unconscious reaccumulation. After a while, you stop buying as much because you know the count and you don't want to increase it. I know someone who counted the books on her shelves. 347 books. She'd read maybe 200 of them. Planned to read perhaps 30 more from the ones she owned. That meant over 100 books she owned for no functional reason. She sold or donated 120 books. Kept the ones that actually mattered. Either she'd read and love them, or she had specific plans to read them soon. The surprising part? She stopped buying books compulsively after that. Not because she made a rule about it, because she knew the number. And knowing the number created natural resistance to increasing it without a real purpose. The awareness itself was the intervention she needed. Consciousness is the first step to change. You can't change patterns you don't see. You think you've understood everything? There's a detail that few people notice, but it's extremely important. One purchase triggers many. This is the 6th principle. And it's the hidden multiplier that makes affordable purchases actually unaffordable once you see the full picture. Every major purchase creates an ecosystem of related costs that weren't visible at the moment of decision. You buy a boat, you need a trailer to transport it, storage to keep it, insurance to protect it, maintenance to keep it running, fuel to use it, registration fees annually, and winterization supplies. The boat was just the entry fee. The ecosystem is what actually drains wealth. Buy an RV, you need storage when not using it, insurance, maintenance, campground fees every time you use it, fuel for something that gets 8 miles per gallon, supplies and equipment, and repairs that cost multiples of what car repairs cost. Buy a house with a pool, you need chemicals, cleaning equipment, heating if you want to use it more than 3 months a year, repairs when things break, increased insurance, and higher utility bills. The initial purchase is visible. The ecosystem reveals itself slowly over time. And by then, you're committed. You already own the thing. You can't undo the decision without taking a loss. There's an old fable about a dog who finds a bone. Great, he's got food, but now he needs a safe place to bury it so other dogs don't steal it. The safe place needs guarding. Guarding needs time. Time needs the sacrifice of other activities. The bone created a web of obligations that consumed more than the bone was worth. That's every major purchase. It's not just the thing itself, it's the gravitational pull it creates, pulling in related purchases, ongoing costs, time commitments, and mental energy. Before any major purchase, map the ecosystem. What else will you need to buy to use this? What maintenance will it require? What does storage cost? What's the insurance? What supplies or related purchases does it necessitate? Calculate the lifetime ecosystem cost, not just the purchase price. Often, this reveals that the affordable initial purchase has an unaffordable ecosystem attached to it. Real example that plays out constantly. $30,000 boat seems reasonable if you've saved for it. But the ecosystem costs $4,000 a year between storage, insurance, maintenance, fuel, and registration. Over 10 years, that's $40,000 in ecosystem costs. The total real cost is $70,000 for something you might use 15 days per year. That's over $4,600 per day of use. Would you pay that if you saw it clearly up front? Usually no. But people don't calculate the ecosystem. They calculate the purchase price, feel good about affording it, then spend the next decade slowly realizing the ongoing costs are crushing them. I know a couple who bought an RV for $85,000. Seemed like freedom and adventure. Year 1 ecosystem costs. Storage at $150 a month, insurance at $200 a month, maintenance and repairs around $2,000 for the year, campground fees at $100 a night for 20 nights, fuel costs about $1,500. Total year 1 beyond the purchase price, $9,700. They used the RV for 20 nights. Cost per night of use. The $85,000 divided by 10 years expected ownership, plus the annual ecosystem cost divided by nights used. Over $900 per night. They could have stayed in luxury hotels for that price without any of the storage, maintenance, or depreciation costs. After 3 years, they sold the RV and lost $35,000 to depreciation. The lesson they learned expensively: we bought an RV. What we actually got was a part-time job managing an expensive, depreciating asset. The thing you buy is just the center. The ecosystem it requires is the real cost that reveals itself slowly. Calculate the ecosystem before you commit to the center, or you'll spend years paying for a decision you can't easily undo. All of the above will be meaningless if you miss the last detail. Define enough before your income increases. This is the 7th principle, and it's the one that determines whether making more money ever actually makes you feel more secure. Without a definition of enough, income increases never create stability. They just raise the baseline of stress to a higher income level. You felt stressed making $50,000, got a raise to $80,000, feel exactly as stressed because spending is inflated without you consciously choosing it. The game of enough never ends unless you end it deliberately by defining the finish line before you get there. There's this historical encounter between Alexander the Great and Diogenes the philosopher. Alexander was the most powerful man in the world, conquered massive territories, commanded armies, and had unlimited wealth at his disposal. He visits Diogenes, who lived in a barrel and owned nothing. Alexander asks what he can do for him, expecting requests for wealth, position, and favor. Diogenes looks at him and says, "Stand out of my sunlight." That's it. The man who conquered the world had less freedom than the man who owned nothing. Alexander was a slave to ambition, to the need for more territories, more victories, more recognition. It never ended. He died young, still conquering, never satisfied. Diogenes had defined enough. He needed sunlight, simple food, and basic shelter. Everything beyond that was noise. He was completely free because the target wasn't moving. Until you define enough, more never satisfies. The target just moves further away at exactly the pace you're moving toward it. You'll never arrive because there is no arrival point. Just an infinite treadmill that gets faster as you get faster. Here's what you actually do. Before your next raise, before your next promotion, before your income increases, define your enough. What housing size and type would be genuinely sufficient for your needs? What car quality and reliability is enough? What monthly spending provides comfort without excess? Write the number down. That's enough. When income increases, lifestyle stays at that level. Everything above it goes to the emergency fund until you have 12 months saved. Then to investments, then to optionality and freedom. This creates an expanding margin as income grows instead of expanding stress. The gap between what you make and what you need gets wider, not narrower. That gap is where actual financial security lives. Real contrast. A doctor making $280,000 a year, constantly stressed about money, spending everything on the lifestyle expected of successful doctors. Big house, luxury cars, private schools, country club, keeping up with other doctors. Zero savings despite massive income. High stress. trapped by the lifestyle. A colleague making the same money, living like she makes 120,000. Defined enough years ago and stuck to it. 160,000 a year going straight to investments. Low stress. Could retire early if she wanted. Works because she chooses to, not because the lifestyle demands it. 10 years later, the first doctor is still working stressfully with no end in sight. The second doctor has $2 million invested and works by choice, not necessity. They made the same amount of money. One spent it proving she made it. The other invested it, becoming free. The difference was a single definition made before the income arrived. Enough is 120,000 of lifestyle. Everything beyond that builds freedom instead of performing success. What if you're already making enough money right now? You just haven't defined what enough actually is, so spending expands infinitely to match whatever you make, leaving you feeling exactly as stressed as when you made less. Define it this week. Write down your enough number. When you make more than that, bank the difference automatically. Let the margin expand while the lifestyle stays stable at enough. Enough is the magic number that stops the race. Without it, you run forever and arrive nowhere. With it, you know exactly when you've won. And everything after that point is just building freedom. You'll actually have time to enjoy. Now you understand why the person making 95,000 is broke, while the person making 52,000 is building wealth. It's not the income. It's never been the income. The high earner was buying twice, but counting once. Every purchase had a visible price tag and an invisible ownership cost that kept extracting payment month after month. The minimalist was counting both costs and choosing accordingly. 7 principles. Calculate cost per use to reveal true economy. Apply the replacement test to eliminate dead weight. Never upgrade from boredom. Engineer friction for spending and automation for saving. Count possessions to create awareness. Map the ecosystem before buying the center. Define enough before income increases. Pick one principle this week, just one. Apply it to one category or one spending habit. That single change creates margin. Margin creates options. Options create freedom. Comment margin if you're ready to stop paying twice and start building wealth at any income level. Which principle will you start with? Drop 1 through 7 below. Remember, minimalism isn't deprivation, it's mathematics. Calculate the full cost. Keep what passes the test. Invest the margin. The high earner can stay broke forever. The clear thinker builds wealth at any income. Your stuff is either building your future or blocking it. Now you know how to tell the difference. Stop buying twice, start counting once, freedom follows.